everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about the Marvels and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Both are sequels to billion-dollar movies that came out in 2018 and 2019. Now, fast forward 4 to 5 years later, both of these sequels struggling at the box office, with the Marvels being the lowest grossing film entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom also massively struggling at the box office and having record low opening numbers for the final entry of the DCEU. So let's just start with the Marvels first, right? So the MCU releases Captain Marvel back in 2019, and the only reason why that movie made money is because it was in between Infinity War and Endgame. Had they had released that movie after, basically, I would say Spider-Man Far From Home, because Far From Home is Spider-Man, and that just is almost a guaranteed billion-dollar movie, because Spider-Man's name, just off name alone, is going to put butts in seats. Say if Captain Marvel comes out as beginning movie of Phase 4. I doubt it actually makes $1 billion at the box office. Then you also must consider, just if you talk to literally anybody, what is the general word of mouth of Captain Marvel? Not just from people that do content on whatever social media platform you're on, just like the general public. What do they feel about Captain Marvel? When this first movie came out back in 2019 for Captain Marvel, I talked to people, and guys, I live in California where things can get a little, woman power-ish, right? And the people that I was talking to, there's a lot of people I was talking to about this movie, they didn't like it at all. Just the general word of mouth that I got, this movie was bad. I ended up watching it myself, and I was sitting there going like, damn, this movie actually fucking sucks. And then I hear that they're going to make a sequel to Captain Marvel, and I'm sitting here going like, wow, that's not a good idea at all. The only reason that they announced a sequel to Captain Marvel is because it made $1 billion at the box office. That's it. That actually makes sense. But given how the word of mouth and the reception of Captain Marvel, the sequel was not ever going to do well. Then they also attached a director named Nia DaCosta to it, and I've seen one of her movies. I saw the Candyman Legacy sequel. They came out back in 2021, and that movie is like complete dog shit. And I really don't understand why Hollywood continues to have like these diversity hires or whatever. They could just get someone who, I don't know, knows the stories, knows the characters, and also loves the stories and characters, but they don't, because they actively despise people like, you and me, because we like this stuff. I don't really know why. But she directed a movie like Candyman, the Legacy sequel that I mentioned just a second ago, and that was complete dog shit. That movie is terrible. That movie is absolutely garbage. So you're thinking like, dang, they attached someone who directed that piece of shit to a movie in a franchise where the box office totals are like around $30 billion, and that's a big thing, There should be no way possible that Marvel Cinematic Universe movies coming out now should have lowest grossing movies ever. So I know people are going to be like, but what about all the other lowest grossing ones from the past? Well, there's different circumstances for those as compared to this one, obviously. And they're not the same, even though people try to make some comparisons to them. In reality, they're not the same. And there's no excuse for a low-grossing movie like this. We can tell that no one was interested. You have the media out here being like, well, men don't want to see females in leading roles, when that's literally a few days later, it was literally proved that men are the ones who supported it. Men are the one who went on and supported this movie, not women. Like, do not let people gaslight you into believing some bullshit when that's never the case. And it's crazy how if those amount of men that went and watched it opening weekend, didn't go see it, oh, I would love to see just how bad the numbers really would have been. And this movie's box office goes to show you the MCU is not the guaranteed box office draw that it used to be. It was already showing that it wasn't back in Phase 4. You saw signs that it was getting really, really bad. The movie quality has gone down a fucking drain, actually. Then couple the fact with just the recent Jonathan Majors situation about what they're going to end up doing with just Avengers 5, it's not been good for Marvel. I mean, you also have the problems with their TV division as well. Just all bad. And you can see just the cataclysmic effect of all of this building up. I mean, people are making excuses like, oh, well, people didn't watch the Disney Plus series and all that stuff. Well, why are we still making movies for characters no one gives a fuck about? Why? Why does that happen? Okay, so I agree with that to a certain extent. If the movies are struggling because they're releasing movies based around characters nobody knows about, then why are you doing it then? Like, you just answered your own question. Don't do that then. Have these underrated characters show up next to more prominent characters, and then if you want to kind of balance out the screen time, do that in whatever movie you want to. But that doesn't happen, right? So Marvel is going to be going through a lot of, you would say, big changes coming up, but I really don't know. Honestly, you heard the rumors about what they're going to be planning on doing with the X-Men solo film they're going to be putting out years from now. It's not looking good. And if we're being honest here, Marvel has been going down a fucking drain for a long time. And the other thing to mention regarding us talking about just DC, Aquaman 2 being the final entry of the DCEU is just laughably bad. I mean, The Flash, in my opinion, should have been the final entry in the DCEU, but, you know, the delays, they had to end up shifting the release dates and everything. Aquaman 2 having the, you know, the behind-the-scenes drama with Amber Heard, Jason Momoa, constant reshoots. I mean, they couldn't decide which Batman they were going to put in the movie, obviously. And if we're talking about just the DCEU, people mentioned James Gunn's video that they saw where he was talking about rebooting the DCEU anyway. So basically, any movie released in 2023 was going to end up being a box office flop because people kind of felt like, why would I go watch a movie that's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things? Now, what I will throw a wrench into that, you don't have to go see a movie just to know that it's going to get a sequel later on. That is something that I think a lot of people understand. But the reason why that doesn't apply to this is because this has already started out kind of like the MCU to connect to a wider, you know, universe, actually. So it's understandable that people wouldn't want to go support the latter 4 movies when they know they're not going to matter. Like, why would you get invested in sequels for characters that are never going to have a future anymore? And you know that you're going to be getting a brand new universe starting this year in 2024, right? So both for Marvel and both for DC, I mean, you have for Marvel, you have Deadpool 3 coming out. That's the only MCU movie released this year. That's actually a good thing, if I'm being completely honest here. That is a good thing, because they've been releasing way too much, and they need to tone it back on some of these releases, because that is way too much stuff they're putting out. The whole TV movie idea could work in theory, but they just executed it completely wrong, actually. And the DCEU never really ever got off its feet. It kind of only had hype because of the superhero hype at the time. And then later on, as we saw how people really, really were talking down on the DCEU movies, the negative word of mouth and Warner Brothers' constant mishandling of the universe really showed in the movie quality, as well as just the general audience giving up massively on DC films. We're talking like record low numbers here, people. Like, I don't know how either of the franchises really improves, but we'll see how it happens. So this is a small win for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, where the article says Aquaman 2 box office surpasses the Marvel's entire global gross in just 2 weeks. I don't really know if this is such a big win like a lot of like fans are saying, because like, oh my god, Aquaman 2 beat the Marvels. I mean, is that really like anything? I mean, I guess DC got a win here, but okay. And it was also reported that Disney was going to stop reporting the numbers on the Marvels box office, actually. Aquaman and Lost Kingdom has surpassed the Marvel's box office total just 2 weeks after its release. Both Aquaman 2 and the Marvels have struggled to perform well at the box office, despite their predecessors earning over $1 billion. So far, Aquaman 2 earned over $250 million globally, while the Marvels only reached $199 million, making the numbers disappointing for both movies. Yeah, both of these movies' budgets and marketing budgets are literally through the roof. The only way any of these films make profit is if they take in $1 billion. We know that's not happening. just chuck these movies on streaming already. 2 weeks into its run, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has already blown past the Marvel's box office total. The sequel to the original Aquaman, Aquaman 2, is the final movie in the original iteration of the DC universe and comes in the wake of a tumultuous year for DC. The Marvels also serves as a sequel following 2019's Captain Marvel. While both original movies made over $1 billion at the box office, the follow-ups have been struggling to keep afloat. And that's what I'm saying here is when you're looking at just the general reception of even like the original Aquaman, I thought it was fun. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. But I wouldn't really say I was clamoring for a sequel. Like, were people really clamoring for a sequel to Aquaman 2? And as you guys know, remember when The Flash came out and a lot of people were like, they didn't want to go see it because of what Ezra Miller did? Well, if that's the case, then obviously the box office for Aquaman 2 would be impacted because Amber Heard is a part of it. According to two reports by The Numbers, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom global gross has already passed the Marvel's entire run. Aquaman 2 has earned over $250 million at the box office globally. That's pathetic. You guys know how bad that is? That is pathetic. Oh my lord, that's terrible. Aquaman 2's budget is what that is, essentially. Man, the 2023, holy crap. While the Marvels sits at $199 million, that's just absolutely pathetic for both these movies. I mean, you have need. I think people started pointing out this as it's one of those like throwaway facts that don't mean anything. People say, but it's the highest opening weekend for a movie directed by a black woman. That means nothing. It's like one of those like empty facts that people say that are true, but you know it's just for like brownie points. They really mean like nothing. Doesn't matter if the Marvels had the highest opening weekend for a black woman. That means nothing. That literally means nothing. Okay. The numbers are disappointing for both movies as Aquaman 2 cost $215 million to make, while Marvel Studios put up $275 million into the Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel follow-up. So the reason why they put in more money into the sequels, as what movie studios do, is because they factor in the first movie did so well, we'll put in a little bit more for our sequels to end up getting even bigger results, and that did not end up happening. Why Aquaman 2 was doing better than the Marvels. Probably it's a slightly better movie. I mean, the first Aquaman's better than Captain Marvel, I'll say that. The threat of superhero fatigue has been plaguing the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DCEU for years. While it could very well play a part in the unsatisfactory results of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the Marvels, the fact that there have been some positive results at the box office indicates that it is not the sole reason for the failures. After all, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 earned nearly $850 million despite the failures of The Flash and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania before it. So this whole argument of superhero fatigue is rather stupid. It's bad movie fatigue. That's it. Like, it's not just superhero movies, other movies that are bad, that come out in continuous franchises, reboots and remakes and all that have not been performing very well. It's just bad movie fatigue. The quality of the superhero movies have dropped massively off a cliff, okay? That's the reason why. And yeah, getting too much of it is an issue. It's not the main issue. If you were getting too much of something that was written very well, and the characters were done justice, and a lot of these movies were good just across the board, then you wouldn't really be talking about superhero fatigue. We were talking about this many years ago because the movies were actually good, right? We're not talking about this now because the movies are not good, so to speak. Disney has not yet announced when the Marvels will be available for streaming. Aquaman 2 is still in theaters and is likely months away from a streaming date. That's fine. I mean, the Marvels might perform better on Disney Plus because it's people that probably went like, oh, I'll just wait for it on Disney Plus. That's the other problem with why these movies have performed bad at the box office too. Not just with these two. You gotta kind of consider the fact, everyone, that when people know it's gonna be there on streaming very soon, the initial like enthusiasm to go and see a movie is really impacted movie going and box office numbers. And if you say otherwise, you're smoking some crack. Each movie is surviving and failing based on its own merits. While Aquaman 2 has lost its expanding universe, it benefits from having the opportunity to serve as the finale for the DCEU. The Marvels, meanwhile, is meant to serve as a seemingly inconsequential movie in a multiverse saga that has slowly fallen apart. Yeah, the MCU doing the whole multiverse thing is just... Yeah, it's the problem with multiverse is it's really hard to get people invested into that. After the ongoing Jonathan Majors controversy began with his arrest in March, the future of the MCU has been questionable. The WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes also struck the mark. No, it didn't. Oh, shut the fuck up. No, people weren't interested in general. No, no, I disagree with that. That's stupid. That is such an excuse. Whatever. The movie was released on November 10th, but the SAG-AFTRA strike ended one day earlier. This has no impact on it. People knew it was coming out for months. They knew it was delayed. They saw the trailers. The trailers came out way before the writer's strike. Crazy shield people right there, man. What a stupid sentence. There was little time to prepare or schedule actors for regular appearances on the talk show circuit or in any other marketing efforts. So they're basically saying lack of marketing is what contributed to the Marvel's failure, even though this is part of a franchise that has taken in $30 billion at the worldwide box office, has a massive fan base. Are you telling me people didn't know it was coming out? Stop doing crack. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself. This could also be contributing to the massive disparity. Regardless of the reasons, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is out racing the Marvels with ease. Well, that I don't really doubt. From the trailers, it looked like it was the better movie in general, just from the trailers alone. But what do you guys think about Aquaman 2 outperforming the Marvels at the worldwide box office? I'm not surprised about it, and eventually when I see these movies, I could only imagine just from the trailers alone that I saw, Aquaman 2 is probably a little bit more better. But both of the movie franchises for DCEU, it's over. We could kind of talk about why it failed and all that. Whereas with the Marvels, yeah, MCU's been going down the fucking drain for quite some time. And unless they change course and actually fix their universe and actually start telling stories people want to get invested into again, the numbers are not going to be any better. And for DC coming up, James Gunn also better understand that too. And people like Tom King attached to the DCU coming up in 2024, yeah, that's gonna, I guess we'll have to just tell with time how it's gonna actually impact their numbers. But we'll see you guys later. Like, comment, and subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I am MSK, Master Swag King, and I'm signing out, guys. See you guys later. Peace. Deuces.